Welcome to Second Take, the show that focuses on the issues behind the news. My weekly editor, Martin Creamer, joins me today to unpack the latest in the mining industry. Welcome, Martin.
Hi, Sashni.
So, fears that South Africa could miss out on another commodity boom were voiced at the Joburg Indaba.
We missed out on the new millennium commodity boom. And we're not prepared for this one. And other countries are. If you see what's happening in other mining jurisdictions, they've really prepared. We just pussyfoot around here. And I think it really is sabotaging the economy of the country and hurting the people who actually need the economy to be boosted at the moment more than ever. And it's just administrative snarl-ups, administrative backlogs, and not even appearing to be seriously minded when people are questioned. They don't seem to be seriously minded, they seem to be off beam. They often want to joke. And I think that, this opportunity, thank God, looks like it's going to be stronger for longer. So we've got to get in there. But how are you going to get access to new critical metals, and if your cadastre system is not up, and the way they're going about it, you don't know whether it's going to be open and transparent. Why they've got to look so hard? There are like 3 people in the world that do this. Take a look at them. Whoever's going to do the best job for you, give them that job. We've been telling them that for how long? They always seem to know better. And when you get into a situation like Joburg and Indaba, and you don't see a sort of determination to make sure that this is led by government, facilitated by government, enabled by government, you start to get concerned and you think, well, are we really trying to end economic equality? Are we really trying to reduce poverty? Is it just lip service? And when you look at the corruption that's taken place, so a lot of these party members are members of a party whose affiliates have actually stole probably more money, if you look at it as a percentage, than anywhere else in the history of the world. And yet they smile and they joke and they go on. And I think that's got to come to an end. We've got to get serious about this. We've got to make sure that this opportunity to be part of this commodity boom is an incredible opportunity. Every shoulder must be put to the wheel. Public sector, private sector, civil society, let's get there and do it. And it was interesting that, the veteran miner and person who's been around a long time, Bobby Godsall, he posed this question that we now must be ready for the next mining upturn. The super cycle. And the indications were that there's still so many impediments, and with no real energy, it seems, capacity, it seems, to get things right. But they've got to do it, whether they like it or not.
And AmaranthCX Director Paul Muller has called out private mining companies for not operating with public disclosure requirements.
This is again, you get to the mining Indaba, you put certain questions about companies not coming on the stock exchange, choosing not to come on the stock exchange. Those that are on, the numbers have dropped from 700 to 300. And there doesn't seem to be a recognition of this happening, even at the highest levels, because the questions, the replies indicate that this is not a great concern. And so we see a situation where you can get a private company that is employing 7,000 people. It's got half a dozen mines. It's got all sorts of reported social obligations, but it's not listed. So you don't know whether this is happening. That is a socially important company. It's an economically important company, and it's an environmentally important company. And they're not on the exchange. And you don't have a mining leadership in South Africa saying, you've got to be on the exchange. And when journalists put questions, there seems to be, no, everything's fine. We had a coal mine list, and it's returning 400%. They don't look at the real situation there. Should they be in leadership, these people? You start to wonder. They don't seem to be able to grasp the importance. And if we're going to actually get to this environmental issue, if we're going to get to the social issues, how are we going to know if people are not transparent? even though they're big companies. We see encouragement for coal mining companies, big companies. They're not listed. The minister doesn't stand up and say, hey, no, guys, you must be listed. No. In the background, these guys are happening. A lot of other mining companies, chrome mining companies, coming through, not having to be listed. Other big iron ore mining companies and manganese companies delisting. And I think the time has come where it says, look, for any socially important company, environmentally important company, and economically important company that actually goes into the ground and takes out the metals and minerals that belong to the people of South Africa. The government is just a custodian. They must be transparent. They've got to be listed. And we must reach that point where listing of these companies becomes obligatory, and not just penalizing small companies that come on there. They've got as much to report as the big companies. That's probably a good thing. But also start opening the door for these small companies. We've got an ACISA, which has got savings of 9 trillion rand. They have taken the country's pension funds, provident funds, and then they've set a whole lot of rules for these people, which makes it impossible for them to support small companies coming onto the exchange. So how are they going to get on? And these big companies, they're laws unto themselves. You have a dozen companies there that are being able to take our provident funds, our pension fund, because Treasury has given anyone who invests with them as an individual a special tax benefit. Special tax benefit for the individual, but you've got to go to these guys. So if I say I'm an individual, I want to invest in a small company on the stock exchange. No. That doesn't count. You don't get that. And the Treasury will not even reply to questions. That's how arrogant they are. And a CISA also does not reply in a proper way. They want, off the record chats. And then you look at some of the people on there and you start wondering about these people. And all of a sudden, a guy like Rob Hersoff pops up. And he says, some of these big individuals, they don't even live in South Africa anymore. And one of them on this list, he lives in the Caribbean. So here you're getting Treasury giving special tax allowances to these companies that are not listed either. So we don't know what's going on inside them, but will not try and help small companies get on the scene. Now this is got to end, and it's got to end fast.
Lastly, Martin, can you talk to us about how crucial mining investment is for the South African economy?
It is ultra crucial. We have PricewaterhouseCoopers. It's been doing these studies on South African mining, SA Mine, and then it's this latest SA Mine 21. They came in and spelled out how important investment is in the mining industry. Because it's not just the mining industry. It's this long supply chain that you've got. It's an incredible supply chain. It passes engineering, it passes commercial activities, it passes banking, it passes logistics, it gets into state enterprises, it gets into ports, it gets into rail, it's everywhere. And they're saying, if you really want to support the economy, keep investing in this mining industry because it's got an incredible multiplier effect. For every million here, you get a multiplier effect second to none. And that's just what we need at the moment. But you have situations like, even I go back to a CISA, which is holding on to our savings at the moment. They're not looking and saying the mining industry actually saved the day. Do you know that the mining industry during the pandemic has given treble the taxes that they've ever paid? They've really done well. And what should be done with our savings? Is it correct that we've channeled them down a single channel and whipped about 90% of them and will not give an individual any tax benefit if he supports a small company coming onto the stock exchange? He doesn't get any benefits, but the big guys sitting down in the Western Cape, and it's always the Western Cape. If you look at that, we have tried to deal with people in Treasury before. And what they did, they promised to give us incentives for small companies. They came up with the most parsimonious rubbish. Not one mining company took it. But guess who took it? The boutiques in the Western Cape. So who are these guys lying to? To me, they are not looking at the whole of South Africa. They have got blinkers on. And the people that they trust are the people that have got the money down there in the Cape. They don't trust anybody else. And if those people come along to them and say, can we sort of stimulate investment because we rent seekers, they won't say that. They are rent seekers. Can't you give the people who come into us some tax benefit? Oh, yes, sir. No, sir. 3 bags full, sir. How much more do you want, sir? And they're always saying how wonderful they're doing. It's short term. You're dealing with pension and provident funds, and you're dealing with an economy that actually gets a hell of a boost from mining. They don't recognize mining. They don't even want to talk to the miners. We went to a situation where we were sitting. I happened to be a journalist. I ended up next to a guy from Treasury. He jumped out of his seat. He doesn't sit next to journalists. He doesn't trust journalists. You know, this is the person whose salary I pay. You send them questions, they don't acknowledge. You send them another thing. Okay, they acknowledge they got the questions. You get no answers. So the Treasury needs to be dealt with. It is defensive. It's a law unto itself. It thinks it's absolutely doing marvelous work, but it's short term, and they've got to be told that. And the mining industry is long term, and nothing is being done. As we saw in the Joburg and Durban, this is the worst level of investment in mineral exploration since 1994. Since we became a democracy, the worst level, and no look of it improving. And here we heard the minister talking about, no, the state is going to do all this. And you start thinking, what? The state? They've got no money. How are they going to do this? No, the Council of Geoscience, we're going to put money in there. Yeah, you know. The private sector's got to do it. I mean, there were investors sitting there, international investors. I mean, they just shook their head. Is this what the guy's trying to do? I mean, haven't got a clue. So we've got to get this exploration going. We've got to shake people up. And as, you know, the former minister, Sidney Mufamadi, said, you have got to you've got to be engaging this government. You've got to let them see what needs to be done. And he was saying that he's also on Zimplat's board, and he goes into Zimbabwe and he says they understand like quickly. You know, you don't even have to prompt them, and they will understand what needs to be done because they can see that mining can help so much. You don't get it here.
Thanks for speaking with us, Martin.
It's a great pleasure, Sashni.
That's it for today. Join us again next week for more news analysis on the local and global mining industries. And don't forget to listen to the audio version of our Mining Weekly daily email newsletter.